shows with a short intermission in between. Feel free to grab a cookie or a drink between speakers or during the intermission. Throughout the show, we will be accepting free will donations to support the speaker's trip. And please turn off your cell phones so that they don't disrupt people as they're switching. With that being said, I will introduce our first speaker, Senior Elsa Black. Elsa competes in the category of original oratory. Orators are required to research and write a persuasive speech on a topic they find important or a problem they believe should be solved. Please welcome Elsa Black as she performs her original speech, An Argument for Better Arguments.
We've all been there. Thanksgiving dinner. 1 minute you're safely discussing classes you're taking, and the next you're caught up in an argument with your racist uncle about whether or not ISIS has taken over the Mall of America. Please pass the mashed potatoes? But then your trendy dieting aunt insists that carbs will one day destroy us all. So, mashed potatoes or ISIS? Which will kill us first? It's true. We argue a lot these days, and we're terrible at it. As Georgetown University professor Deborah Tannen asserts, we argue with a pervasive, warlike atmosphere. In fact, it's this unhealthy argument culture that has led many of us to simply avoid disagreements altogether. Maybe you're like me, and just try to change the subject. Has anyone else noticed how the green beans in this casserole are so incredibly green? Our inability to effectively argue has fed a fear of disagreement. And this is worrying, because disagreement is necessary in a productive society, as it drives development and progress. And so, we should all heed the words of authors Greg Lukianoff and Jonathan Haidt in their 2018 book, The Coddling of the American Mind, when they write, "We all need to argue better." So today, we will set the table by exploring just how bad we are at arguing. Then we'll cook up some of the ways that bad arguments have led to a disturbing lack of argument, before finally chowing down on some ways to argue better, and to help us get over our distaste for disagreements. We're not good at arguing. I know what you're thinking. We're orators. Of course we're good at arguing. Sure, we might think that we win every argument we engage in, but that doesn't mean we're good at it. Experts agree that in order to have a productive argument, one where progress is possible, we need two things: hearing and humility. But these days we have little of either. First, we don't hear or listen to each other. As Wharton professor and organizational psychologist Adam Grant advises, argue like you're right, but listen like you're wrong. Listening like we're wrong isn't exactly a piece of pie, though, especially because we rarely have the humility to even admit that we are wrong. As journalist and wrong expert Catherine Schultz says in her TED Talk, most of us will do everything we can to avoid thinking about the possibility that we are wrong. We've decided the best way to settle our disputes is to pit one side against the other, to attack, to blame, and to criticize, because that's how we think we'll win. But the truth is, when we leave hearing and humility out of that argument recipe, well then we're going to be left with a pretty distasteful meal. Speaking of meals, we've all heard that if there's one thing we should not talk about at family dinner, it's politics. But that's because we've learned how to talk and argue about politics from politicians who frankly aren't the best at it. And our dysfunctional disagreements have left us in a state of political progress paralysis. As journalist John Dickerson said in September of 2018, bad arguments endanger a polarized nation. You can't understand why a person would kneel at an NFL game, or why that would offend someone, unless you know how to argue. And in his book, Love Your Enemies, published just a few weeks ago, Arthur Brooks agrees. He writes that 1 in 6 Americans have stopped talking to family because of politics. Our ineffective political arguments are tearing apart everything from our closest relationships to our very nation. A study done by Harvard Business School in September of 2017 best articulates the harms by describing the U.S.'s political system as America's single biggest barrier to competitiveness. Now, what I am not saying is that we just need to compromise more. After all, if one side doesn't like the green beans, and the other side doesn't like the cranberry sauce, mixing them together into a cranberry green bean stew and serving it to everyone is just mushy moderation. Not the best solution. We need to be arguing better, not less. But in our schools today, conflict avoidance seems to be the name of the game. And our campaigns to combat bullying have left many students feeling like they can't disagree, even in a healthy way, for fear of being labeled a bully. As Amy Galvin writes in her 2018 article for Harvard Business Review, most of us don't want to disagree. In fact, we've come to equate saying, I don't agree, with being rude and unkind. And since we don't like being wrong, and many of our arguments do devolve into unproductive fights, most of us just try to avoid that disagreement altogether. In his recent book, The Big Sword, Bill Bishop explains how, in an effort to avoid disagreement, we seek to be near like-minded people, even moving to places where our opinions are the norm. But while it might be comforting to be surrounded by people who are just like us, this avoidance of outside opinion only furthers the progress paralysis, causing our nation to become even more polarized. As a result, Bishop says, we now live in a giant feedback loop, hearing our own thoughts about what's right and wrong bounced back to us by the television shows we watch, the books and newspapers we read, the blogs we visit online, the sermons we hear, and even our own neighborhoods. And this avoidance of outside opinion and feedback loop is something that I'm altogether too familiar with. The homeschooling community is the perfect example of Bishop's feedback loops. And growing up homeschooled, although it had many benefits, I rarely, if ever, met anybody who disagreed with me. I was closed-minded, and I liked it that way. It wasn't until I got to high school that I even realized that intelligent people who had differing opinions could be a good thing. And in the end, I robbed myself of relationships that would have benefited me, both socially and intellectually, simply because I didn't have the humility to be okay with being wrong. I know it can be hard to tell your aunt that her carb-free vegan meatloaf salad isn't, well, good. But it can be even more difficult to know how to effectively address a disagreement. We can start by recognizing the positive impact that arguments can have. Let's all remember, disagreeing with other people isn't bad. We just don't do it very well. As author James Hogan writes in his 2016 book, ironically entitled, I'm Right and You're an Idiot, there is nothing wrong with speaking out loudly against injustice. In fact, when it comes to the enormous problems that are facing humanity in these times, it is an urgent responsibility. Practically speaking, there are a few things we can do to help us have healthy disagreements. First, humility. We can let go of our need to be right for the sake of being right. The next time you find yourself in a heated debate with a classmate, coworker, or online, stop and ask yourself, why am I disagreeing in the first place? Because if you are only trying to win for the sake of winning, then you are only going to paralyze any progress you might have made with that argument. And second, we can listen like we're wrong. As Douglas Dunn says in his book, Difficult Conversations, to get anywhere in a disagreement, you have to understand the other person's story, well enough to see how their conclusions make sense within it. Now, I'm not saying that we just need to compromise more. There are some things we will just never agree on. For instance, my speech coach thinks that orators should go left for their first point, and I know they should go right. What am I supposed to do? Compromise and go straight down the middle? What I am saying is that when I can, we need to hear each other out with humility and look for the best solution. And finally, we need to change our mindset about disagreement. Harvard University professor of social justice, Marshall Gans, explains that we need to embrace constructive controversy by making sure that we use what he calls an argument from heaven. In other words, rather than arguing for the sake of defeating our opponents, we need to be arguing for the sake of exposing the truth. After all, there will always be those awkward family interactions where we simply don't agree. But maybe next time, we can learn from each other, instead of going home without saying goodbye. So let's all remember to hear each other out with humility. And please, pass the turkey.
Our next speaker is a senior in her first season. She has competed in drama, a category which requires the speaker to choose a novel, story, or play, and then select a 10-minute cutting to interpret and perform. Let's welcome Lisa Schroeder, performing her dramatic interpretation of Yellow Man by Will Orlando Smith.
My mother, women like my mother and her mother before her, talked about the sun. Staying near too long creates illusions, they said. They talked in gala accents about how the sun can make you see things that ain't there, or that heat is something you're here. Their statements were from women who knew their place. But the place that they had opinions about something as simple as sun rays pulled them away from their place. The fact that they would question anything made them happy in the eyes of their peers. My mother, women like my mother and her mother before her told and tagged the soul right beside the man. They were dark, therefore not considered pretty. They were dark and large, therefore sexless. But they continued to tag and told up the soul right beside the man. They cursed and prayed in gala accents, their ball and chain voices. Oh, praise God! Help me, Lord, get through another day. Always. My mother and her mother before her would praise him. Not totally sure whether or not he existed, but they did so because they were taught to and had to. And that there had to be some love somewhere if they prayed long and hard enough. My mother. Women like my mother and her mother before her believed that had they been born rich and high yellow, not dark, they wouldn't have suffered. They thanked God I wasn't born dark. Although too bad, I wasn't lighter. But they thanked God I wasn't born dark. My mother and her mother before her believed that if they could be light, they'd be loved. Racism can be seen in many ways in the world. In the South, during the time of slavery, slave owners would sexually assault women on the plantation in exchange for easier work. Their lighter-skinned children will often receive the same easier assignment. Today, this type of treatment has resulted in a subtle but real divide between the skin tones in African American society, which researchers call shadism. Alma, born in the middle of the skin tone spectrum, has to deal with the prejudice associated with both sides of this spectrum from her friends, family, and her community. Through her struggles, we we come to see that racism isn't simply black and white, but rather a spectrum of shades and varieties. Yellow Man by Dale Orlando Smith. I was 7 when I first laid eyes on Jim. I saw this little yellow boy. He was 9 and in 4th grade. He looked like he was wearing a suit. I went over to him. Why are you wearing a suit to come to school? All of us is play and stuff. You would never play with nobody. I see you by yourself all the time. You want to play with us? I asked him his name, and he said, Eugene Robert Gaines. He said his whole name. Eugene Robert Gaines. That's it. You talk funny. You talk like people on TV talk. You just talk good, and I like it. Then we played. Eugene and I were inseparable from that moment on. When I was 17 and Eugene 19, we were about to graduate from high school. I doubled up my credits to graduate early. I'm 17 and starting to walk pretty. I got a job at Woolworths for the summer. I began to get my hair straightened and buy makeup. When people come in the store, they notice and say, Mama, you look just like new money. A floor dance in 7th Street, written about New York and other places. And I just want to be there. But Mama kept trying to shoot me down. She'd say, wearing all that old mess on your face, and you don't look like nothing. You ain't never gonna look good. But soon enough, graduation day gets here. Jean's parents offer to have a graduation supper for us. Mama does most of the talking, getting drunker and stupider by the minute, and she keeps on reaching for the gin glass. In my head, I pray, God, please let me disappear. She keeps looking at Thelma, Eugene's sister, who's also drunk. Mama can't take her eyes off of Thelma's light skin. Then, after a long pause, she turns to me and says, maybe you and Eugene can make some party yellow babies. The silence is loud and piercing at the table. I get up and say, I would like very much to make an announcement. I look over at Mama, who is grinning that ridiculous grin, and I know she thinks I'm going to announce that me and Eugene are getting married. I look her in the face and say, I've been accepted to Hunter College in New York City in the fall with full financial aid, and I am going. That shut her up. I down a big glass of gin. Eugene goes and gets the bottles of bourbon and puts them on the table. Mama sits there, silently, glaring at me with looks that could kill. Later that night, as Jean drives me and Mama home and drives off, she yelled, who you think ya is, huh? That boy gonna leave ya and get him a pretty light-skinned girl. She can barely stand. But she goes to hit me, grab her arm, bring her all the way to her knees and say, Mama, you're right. I'm ugly, I'm big, and I'm darker than him. But if you ever want me to help you in the future, don't you ever put your hands on me again, or I'll make I look back. I always end up looking back. I look back at that time and see me and the rest of us girls. Some of us were bright, damn near white, as they used to say. Others of us were darker, brown, black. All of us walking to various rhythms. There's a fluidity here in New York City, a rhythm of bells and chants, and my heels click to that. My walk looks different, feels different too. No matter what though, Eugene used to say, you know South Carolina's still with ya, still a part of ya. I ignored him and kept walking.
The next speakers are seniors Daniel Van Kool and Nacho Larios in the category of duo. To add to the difficulty of coordinating two speakers, duo incorporates a few odd rules, such as the speakers are not allowed to make eye contact and they cannot touch each other. Performing Assassins by Stephen Sondheim and John Weedman, Daniel Van Koolen and Nacho Larios.
Speaking to you from left field, where the President's plane has just touched down and is taxiing toward us across the tarmac. We understand the President plans to speak briefly.
Dearest Marina, today I end my life so that your life may begin. Oh. Last night,
Who the hell are you?
oh, I'm sorry, it appears we may have gotten off on the wrong foot here. It's my fault, I should... Oh, you're not going, are you? Come on, Alec.
What'd you call me?
Alec. Your wife, Marina. Well, she used to call you. Of course, I don't have to call you Alec, I just...
How do you know what Marina called me?
Well, I know a lot about you. Lee.
Whether it be mass shootings or the murders of presidents great and loved.
The perpetrators of some of history's darkest acts have often been driven by feelings of isolation and powerlessness, twisted into a desire for notoriety.
This fiery passion, to be remembered, is brought to life in Lee Harvey Oswald.
As he is encouraged by one of history's most infamous assassins.
And like any fire,
It requires only the right spark for it to burn.
from the award-winning play
Assassins.
by John Weidman and Stephen Sondheim.
Let's see. Born October 18th, 1939. Dropped out of high school at 17. Joined the Marines. Defected to the Soviet Union October 1959. Married Marina Nikolavna. Current employment? Stock boy. Texas School Book Depository in Dallas, Texas. Oh, and, well, this morning, depressed over your estrangement from a wife who views you as a dismal, empathetic failure, you rose before dawn, kissed your sleeping children, and you came here to kill yourself.
You guys think you're so smart? You come in here and interrogate me? I could sue you for harassment.
You think I'm with the FBI? Man, the FBI. You must really love those morons. And now why wouldn't you? Well, no one else cares if you live or die.
The hell with you, whoever you are.
I'm sorry, Lee, it's all you ever wanted, isn't it? Attention must be paid.
What's that?
It's from a play, Lee, about a salesman. A man very much like yourself. A decent man who tries and tries but never catches a break. So, one day, when he realizes his whole life has been a failure built on lies, well, he kills himself. And when he's gone, his wife stands at his grave and says, attention must be paid. You know, I'll tell you something, Lee. I'm an actor, and I'm a good one. But Willie Loman, now that is a part I could never play. And I don't think you should play it either.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So what do you want, Lee?
You know so much. Why don't you tell me?
You want what everybody wants. To be appreciated, to be valued, to be in other people's thoughts. For them to think of you and smile. If you want someone to love you, now isn't that right? Lee.
Yes.
Forget it. What? It's never gonna happen. It's a fantasy, and you've got to give it up.
I'm going to kill myself. Don't you think I've given up?
No! I think you're going to kill yourself because that's how you think you're going to get it. When I'm gone, then they'll be sorry. When I'm gone, they'll know how much they love me. And I bet every time you close your eyes, you see your funeral, don't you, Lee? A gentle rain is falling. Everyone has umbrellas.
Shut up.
Oh, there's your wife, Marina, weeping quiet. Your sobbing children clutching at her skirt.
Shut up!
Your mom, your dad, every boss who has ever fired you.
Shut up!
I'm sorry, Lee, it's just so childish. It's so dumb.
You think it's dumb? If I shouldn't kill myself, then what should I do?
You should kill the President of the United States. What? His airplane landed at the airport 15 minutes ago. His motorcade's gonna go right past this window. And when it does, you shoot it.
I didn't come here to shoot the president.
Well, you didn't come here to get shot.
I'm not a murderer.
Now, who said you were?
You just said I should kill the president.
Lee, when you kill a president, it isn't murder. Murder's a tawdry little crime. It's born out of greed or lust or liquor. Adulterers and shopkeepers get murdered. But when a president gets killed, hell, when Julius Caesar was killed, he was assassinated. And the man who did it,
Brutus.
you know his name. Brutus assassinated Caesar, what, 2,000 years ago? And here's a high school dropout who knows his name. And they say fame is fleeting.
No, this is stupid. Up here on the 6th floor, what am I gonna do? Throw school books at him? What's in the package?
That's a man lit your cock on. 6.5 millimeter. Stopping range 900 yards. The sight's already been adjusted.
Who are you?
My name is John Wilkes Booth. Lee.
John Wilkes Booth killed Abraham Lincoln.
been paid. All your life you wanted to be a part of something, Lee. You're finally gonna get your wish.
I don't get this. I don't want this. I'm getting out of here.
Lee, I know you're scared, but you have a responsibility here.
To who? To you? Who cares?
Who cares? He wants to know who cares. I care, you stupid fool! Haven't you been listening for Christ's sake? Are you such a vacuous non-entity? Lee, listen to me. 18 years from now, when John Hinckley attempts to assassinate President Reagan, they're going to search his room. And do you know what they're going to find? Every book about you ever written. I want you to take a look outside that window, Lee. Out there, that's America. The mass of menly lives of quiet desperation. But in here there are no lives of quiet desperation. Desperation, yes, but quiet? I don't think so. Not today. Today we're gonna make a joyful noise. This is the big one. You're the big one. You're the one who's gonna sum it all up and blow everything wide open. I have seen the future. Lee, Harvey, Oswald, and you are it. The motorcade is turning onto Elm Street. There's someone holding up a banner, all the way with JFK. The president is smiling and waving as his car heads towards Dealey Plaza, where it will swing by the Texas School Book Depository and onto the train mud.
Welcome Junior Isaiah Schroeder performing Dylan by Sydney Michaels.
Bartender, I'd like 18 whiskeys, please. But I only want to look at 18 whiskeys. That's my world record, you know. Caitlin, my wife, knew she was about staying in my hometown of Swansea, Wales.
Who knows my husband, Dylan Thomas, the poet?
No one. No one. Well, go figure. In my hometown, I'm not known as Dylan Thomas, the poet. Yeah. I'm known as the drunk. Well, that's my principal ambition. No, Caitlin. Cat. You're the only girl for me. The only one I'll ever love. Till the day I explode. And go out like a lion.
Wet brain, Mr. Thomas. That's the popular term for it. It's an insult to the brain from too much alcohol over too long a time. I'm sorry.
So that saying is that I shall not go gentle into that good night.
Dylan Thomas achieved poetry immortality in the early 20th century by writing one of literature's most legendary poems, "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night." During his turbulent life, he came to represent the figure of the bard, a theatrical poet who seemed to have had it all. But on the inside, his life was mired in doubts, insecurities, and perilous drinking. His death at the tender age of 39 proves to us all that not even fame can heal the wounds of the tormented soul. Dylan, by Sidney
Michaels. So, I'm a legend in America. I'm an influence. I'm even taught there in the classrooms. Though Caitlin says that if I ever went to America, she'd never go to bed with me again. Because all the college girls there are whores. She heard that one from Faulkner, I think. I have to laugh. You see, when I first came to America, I had the critics completely bamboozled, just from the sound of my voice. You know, one even compared me to Shakespeare. But I'm not exceptional. No, I mean, Shakespeare. Oh, but don't get me wrong. I mean, I love it here in America. I'm very fond of everyone here. Like you and you. Now, why are you drawn back from me, Mom? Do I disgust you? Is that it? Well, I'm not very fond of you. Yeah, you got that whole Salem witch look about you, don't you? Hail to thee, let wait, bird that never wet. Well, I may just kiss you. Well, go on, slap me. I dare say I've got it coming. A kid. Well, did you know I was a happily married man? God, she was as beautiful as a princess atop the Christmas tree. An extraordinary dancer, too. I ruined her career. See, I took this beautiful, brilliant, young woman and I wiped her out. I used her. And now here I am, wasting my money, lapping it up. You know, I'd say I'm just a failure of a human being. That is, something fear. I'm coughing blood. Yeah. And I've had 2 blackouts. And I'm so tired. You know, one is always escaping the responsibilities. internal revenue to poetry. Oh God, I haven't written a word of that in a dog's age. You know, I'd say only about 1% of a poet's life is actually poetry. The other 99 is just saving up for that one magical moment. Okay, I lied. I'm not happy. And she's not happy, and I can't write or sleep. And it's scaring me to death. And sometimes I think she'd just be better off without me. But you know what? I'm me. Yeah, I smoke too much, and I drink too much, and I sleep with other women. I write poetry, and I read it aloud to myself. I lie, I cry, I laugh, and I cheat. But you know, I think I've finally come to a point in my life where I could say something about it. I think it was something to do with having the guts to thumb your nose at the social shears that clip the wings in this mushrooming, this cancerous age. Yeah, that was it. You know, I'm writing a play. It's my first. It's called Undermilk Wood. Things are looking up.
Mr. Thomas, if you have one more drink, a sip, you'll have committed suicide as surely as if you had shot yourself in the head. You're the greatest lyrical poet of our age. Doesn't that obligate you?
Well, Doc, you know I've never been too good with obligations. But Doc, do not go gentle into that good man.
Humorous interpretation of Empowered, How One Girl Scout Nearly Destroyed the World's Economy. Please welcome Mia Hedlund.
Bum bum ba-dum bum. Bum bum. Hi. You have a lovely home. I just love the decor. Did you hire someone professionally, or are you just naturally brilliant? And a sense of humor, too? Wow. Look, I know you're busy being awesome and everything, but if it's not too much trouble, do you think you'd like to buy some Girl Scout cookies? I know it's laughably absurd that I'm selling them, but it would mean a lot if you could purchase a few boxes. 2 boxes? Thank you so much. When I'm older, I want to be just like you. Knock, knock. Hi. Don't close the door. I don't have a lot of options here. Please, buy these cookies. Come on. Buy the cookies. If you don't buy them, I'll hit myself in the face. And it'll be all your fault. That'll be $4. Hi, my name's Amaryllis. I'm selling these cookies. You might have heard of them. Have you ever seen the Addams Family? When the Girl Scout comes buying a girl, I think her name is Friday. She says, are these made with real Girl Scouts? Our cookies don't contain human flesh, so if that's a rumor going out there, whatever, you're totally cool and you're not a cannibal. Some of them don't really taste good. I don't really like them, actually. What do Girl Scouts, motivational speakers, and tonsillitis all have in common? Nothing. How one Girl Scout nearly destroyed the world's economy by tonsillitis. Oh my God, hi. My name's Beatrice, your Girl Scout leader. I want to thank y'all for sharing the gift of your sales with us today now. Let us all center ourselves all we can. Let me be the best Girl Scout I can be. Let me be the best Girl Scout I can be. Let me behave compassionately. Let me behave compassionately. Let me sell cookies. Let me sell cookies so that I can be an empowered girl. So that I can be an empowered girl. Girl power. Gosh, ladies. That just warms my heart. I look at you, and I see the future of womanhood. And if y'all are any indication, women are going to be just fine. We're going to be better than fine. We're going to kick butt and keep kicking butt until the butt kicking is done, right? Yes, that's what I love about you, Kennedy. Your untamed spirit never changed on me. Even if I put you in prison. Anywho, we have a very special guest coming today to talk to us about entrepreneurship. Ian. T. I can't spell that because it's a very difficult word, but our special guest knows a whole lot about being a Girl Scout. Even though he's not a girl, but he's come all the way from regional headquarters to talk to us about the importance of selling to our customers. So let's give a great Girl Scout welcome to Vinny Bolito. Hi, how are you guys? I just want to say I think you guys are doing great with this troop. Really outstanding. We're getting a lot of sales out of this troop, and I think that's outstanding. So we're very happy with you. Now, in the spirit of healthy competition, we're going to add a little sweetener to the pot. Put your hand down, sweetheart. I'm not taking questions. There you go. Okay, now, what could be more fun than a sales competition? How about the first prize is a unicorn. Oh my God! A unicorn? I thought those weren't even real. Okay, I'll answer all your questions. Number one, is it a real real unicorn. Well, it was used in the upcoming movie Sparkles in Me, where a miniature horse was surgically enhanced with a straighten out goat horn and drugged to make extra magical, so technically it's real. And it's only partly an abomination. I don't care. I want it. Is this even legal? Hey! God's creatures are here for us all, right? And that means we can either eat them, or we can perform experiments on him. So, Sparkles is very real. And he's coming to live in your backyard if you take first prize in our contest. This is the best day of my life. Hold on. Second place, a juice box. Third place, you keep your spot here. And fourth place is you're replaced by a foreign exchange student. I went too fast for you kids. We've got sales projections, Ben. We determined that a few of you girls could be replaced by adorable kids from third world countries. You can't just kick somebody out. Are you sure second place is only a juice box? What if you have mental problems? Can you get bonus boxes? Whoa, hold on, one at a time. I spend a lot of time here at the Girl Scouts. And, who do you think you are? Who do I think I am? Who do I think I am? I think I'm the regional manager of the Girl Scouts. How'd you get here today, huh? Your mommy strike ya? You ride your schwinn? Or does someone here have a scooter? That's me. I got here in my Lamborghini Diablo. That's right. I drive one of those around town that goes 130 miles per hour as soon as I put my foot on the pedal. I don't even have to press down that hard, okay? And why do I drive that car, huh? Because the Girl Scouts compensates me very well. You want to know what I did when I was your age? I was champion seller 3 consecutive years in a row. I got so many free trips to Disney World that Mickey and Minnie knew me by name. But you're not even a girl. You think that would stop me? No. That's what I like to call an excuse. You know who has excuses? I woke up 2 hours early, put on a wig and pantyhose, and I starched the heck out of that uniform, and I killed it. And did that cause me some deep-seated identity issues later on in life? You betcha, sweet mama. But I don't care. I would sacrifice everything for the Girl Scouts, everything. My health, my sanity, my wife, my second wife. So ask yourselves, are you giving 100%? And if so, double it. And then double it again. It's physically impossible to give more than 100%. Oh, sure, there's laws of physics. The laws of physics said that there couldn't be a unicorn, and that's first prize. I'll be back in 2 weeks to check on your girl's progress. 410%. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, he was fun, wasn't he fun? I don't think he's staying true to the Girl Scouts' ideals. You're just jealous because you're going to get kicked out. Oh, sweetheart. No one's going to get kicked out unless they're last in sales. I will eat that unicorn for breakfast.
Feel free to get more drinks or cookies, and remember we're also taking a free will donation to cover the cost of travel for the speakers. We'll start show 2 here in a little bit. Thank you.